Hello and welcome to the Fingal Business Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Fingal, one of 31 local enterprise offices around the country. Local Enterprise Office Fingal helps local business through a wide range of practical initiatives and programs. The LEO is your first stop shop for business supports. So whether you're just starting out or an established business, Local Enterprise Office Fingal is here to help. The aim of the Fingal Business Podcast is to share quality information for small business owner managers to enable you to be more effective in running a successful enterprise. My name is Sharon Rossignuolo and I'll be chatting to industry experts so that you can get the best advice to help you to succeed in your business. In today's episode, we're sharing networking tips as we discover the power of networking for your business with featured expert and avid networker, Wendy Stunt. Wendy Stunt, you are very, very welcome to the Fingal Business Podcast. How are you doing?
Hi, Sharon. Thanks so much for having me. I'm honoured. Thank you.
Oh, no, we're delighted, particularly because it's a topic that's very close to my heart and it's something in general in Leo Fingal that we really, really try to promote, which is networking with people, networking between other businesses. And I know you are an avid networker to the degree where you have based your business on it. So tell me, networking as a strategy for business success, just tell me about that. How does that actually work?
I suppose when you look at networking, it's something that every entrepreneur should practice. It should be part of your everyday routine. Networking, it can be a phone call to an email to any form of communication is part of your networking. So there are three things that I would really focus on when you talk about networking, and that is relationship building. So from that point of view it's looking at the relationship, that it's not just a one-way street, that there's give and take when you're building that relationship. But also people do talk about building a relationship all the time, but there's also the minding of the relationship after that. And that's part of networking too, is to get to know the person and mind that relationship, because it becomes quite valuable, and those connections, and you work hard to build the relationship. So don't forget about minding it too. The second thing when it comes to your strategy would be, branch into the unknown. If you're not on LinkedIn, or if there's a space that you think your customer is, or there's an event that you might not go to regularly, or that you might not have thought of, you try and think outside the box when you're going networking. Like I went to an event, it was an event in Las Vegas, it was an electrical event, and I ended up basing a whole business on a product that I found there, which was from the beauty industry. It wasn't anything to do with electrical.
Wow,
they were in the beauty industry. And they took a punt and took a stand at that exhibition. And I mean, it was the busiest stand in the whole exhibition. It was incredible. So, yeah, sometimes doing something that's not the norm can really help you stand out as well. And then also, I always say is ask for help, from your network. When you're, if you go to a networking event, don't feel that you can't ask for help. And, don't sell. I always say, please don't sell. Go and, if you're selling anything, sell a coffee, that you'd like to take them for a coffee, that kind of thing. So it's a really important part of your business to build a strong network around you, that you have people that you can go to for various different problems that you might be having, or that, that you're looking for a solution. It could be just something as simple like a CRM, that you might not have, but you're looking to see which one would suit you best. You can reach out to your network and see which ones they're using. It just doesn't always have to be about selling. There's lots of value in your network apart from that.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for saying that, Wendy, because I think so many people have bad associations with networking. They just have visions of walking into a room full of strangers who all seem to know each other, by the way, except you, the person who has walked in.
Of course. Yeah, I know. I've been there. And I think that the big thing I would say to those people that are, a little bit anxious or a little bit, nervous going to an event is, be prepared. Have a look. You've got this invitation, or you've either got an email to say that this event is on, and you've decided I'm going to go to this. So first of all, research the speakers. Go into them, connect on LinkedIn, connect with them, see, even drop a comment on one of their posts, or check out go back to the people that are organising the event and ask for the attendee list. And then when you arrive, you'll have at least 2 or 3 people maybe that you want to go and see, because otherwise, what's the point in going? You have to make sure, have a plan, be prepared. There's a reason you want to go. It could be that the speaker or the subject is very interesting, and that's absolutely perfect too. But also try and have a reason for going, is that there's a couple of people there that you'd like to connect with for whatever reason. And whether it's that you want to learn something from them, or that they're in your industry, or whatever it is. And you could also ask the people for the attendee list, ask when you arrive, for them to facilitate an introduction and say, look, I saw on the attendee list such and such is here. Would you mind introducing me? And that could really help you, rather than standing in the corner on your phone, which we all tend to do nowadays when it's out networking. But it's really important to try and get, put yourself out there just a little bit. But if you prepare, you'll be much more comfortable going into an event like that, I think.
Yeah, that is really, really good advice. Even for that, even connecting with the facilitator, or connecting with somebody that is going to the event, who knows somebody else, to get that ball rolling. Just it definitely adds that degree of comfort. And and Wendy, the actual act of networking itself, because obviously, you walk into a room, sometimes due to GDPR, it's not always possible to get the attendee list, or for whatever reason, it might not be possible. So in terms of actually standing there with your cup of coffee, now we'll talk a little bit later about how things have changed since then, but just even to give people a sense of the conversation and the interaction of networking, how does that work, or how does it work well?
Yeah, the first thing I would say is get your listening ears on. And that's the first thing, is listen to the person who you have started talking to. I would always say be interested, not interesting. It's the worst thing, people coming and, starting this conversation and they just don't stop, and you kind of going, oh God, how do I get away from this person? Mm-hmm. We've all been there, but it's like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. They may want to move on as well. You just don't know. But what I would say is, definitely be interested, not interesting. Listen to the person, because knowledge is power. Listen to their business and listen to what they do, and see if there's a way that you can help them. That's the first thing I would say, is look to help that person, and reach out to them that way. And you won't use up all your own material. So you can sit there, you can relax, because they're doing the chat,
talking,
and you're also making them feel very important, because you're making eye contact. You're listening to what they've got to say. You won't say anything silly, so you can, relax into the event. And when it's your turn to speak, that person will listen to you.
Yes.
So that's what I would say. I would say just, be interested, not interesting.
I love that phrase. That's such good advice. And I think that's the thing, that people feel under pressure to perform in front of this person that they don't know. And actually, that's not it at all. As you say, the other person feels valued and feels listened to when they're being listened to. And then it sets up for a natural conversation. Here, Ireland is very, very small. I guarantee 3-4 minutes in, you will have certainly discovered that you both know the same people, or there's some connection, and it will flow from there. So I suppose it's about having that confidence and that belief, which leads me to my next question. In your opinion, Wendy, what gets in the way of good networking?
Look, it could be a case of, like we were talking about earlier on, getting your confidence. The telephone, oh my goodness, if people would just put their telephones away when you're at a networking event, it's not ideal, unless you're sharing a digital business card or something. No, I think, put the phone away, give the person your attention. And also, going on a little bit more to the whole sales thing, what I always say is, don't sell in a networking event. It's not attractive. It's like when you're on a LinkedIn network or something, and you connect with someone, and straight away into your inbox you get a sales message, so you wouldn't do that in person either. So what you're trying to do is get across what you do, in a nice way. It could be via a story or something. I always say to people, have a story that, is about your business that people would relate to, or that might find even funny, that so you're getting their attention that way. But yeah, I suppose definitely don't sell and keep the phones away when you're networking. But it would be two big things not to do.
Brilliant, brilliant. I think it's a really good point because, to be fair, I think we've all stood there while someone is actively selling to us. It's
Oh
embarrassing.
Lord.
You can't wait to get away, or you're kind of, you really want to help and you really want to want what they're offering, but
I know, completely. And here's another tip actually for you as well, Sharon, that I learned. And it was funny. It was the great Rob Cullen in Dublin Chamber. He turned around and one day, it's something that he tells us at events. When you enter a networking event, just scan the room. And if you can imagine two people and they're standing directly in front of each other, looking at each other, that's what he calls a closed group. So they're having a conversation. And if you were to walk over and kind of just stand there, you're going to feel a bit awkward because you're interrupting their talking.
Yes.
Or, their eye contact is with each other and you're kind of in their peripheral vision. And then they kind of look and it's nearly like, did you want something? Do you know that makes you feel uncomfortable?
Interrupting, awkward, yes.
Yeah, awkward, yeah. So then if you could imagine them standing in more of like a triangle. So say, there's two people and they're kind of angled out slightly, and he calls that an open group. So they're inviting you into that group. So when you go into an event, look for those kind of scenarios where the group is open to new people coming in.
Yes.
And also something else is that, the polite entrance and exit. As I was saying earlier on, look, we might get caught talking to somebody and you want to move on. You might have a plan. You want to speak to 2 or 3 people and you've spotted one of them coming into the room. And that's totally okay. If you have an agenda to go, get that done. That's your priority. But there's really polite ways to, enter and exit a group, I suppose. And I say, look, a good break like a bathroom or a coffee break, you could say, or you could just say to them, look, let's stay connected. It was absolutely lovely to have met you. I've just spotted someone over there that I really want to have a word with. Best of luck at the rest of the event or something like that. And you walk off, So, and as I said earlier on, they may want to be moving on too. So never feel you have to get, because I've networked for 2 years solid. And I said that to you, I was at every single event in Dublin. I was there. And I have been there where, you'd go to an event and you could be with somebody, the politeness, kicks in and you don't want to leave somebody on their own either, especially when it's just the two of you chatting. And I have come home and I've gone, God, that was a waste of time.
Yes.
I didn't meet that person that I wanted to meet, or that's my fault. It's something that I should have ensured happened. And it's things that you learn as you network, that you can be polite and you can also get what you're looking for out of going to that networking event,
Yeah, brilliant.
So,
it's such good advice, Wendy, because as we kicked off with networking as a strategy for business success, but realistically, if you're turning up to an event and you just end up being somebody's sidekick for the day or for the evening, that's not going to be very good for your strategy for business success. It's as simple as that. I think
it is.
Everything that you have covered off, I think just really it works for networking in general, but obviously we have moved into new times now. So I want to talk about offline versus online. What are the challenges of networking in the new normal and how can people overcome them?
Yeah, so I would say with the online aspect of it now, I try to apply pretty much everything as I can, as I would do. So the preparation in going to a virtual event, again, I would be looking at who's attending the event, if I can get access to that list, or if I get the invitation, same thing, connect with the speakers. Still put in that groundwork is pretty much the same. So when you attend then the actual event, the meeting itself, there's a really good way of talking to somebody privately. So it's actually, for people that are nervous to network, actually the online thing has actually helped, because you can send, so if I spotted someone that I wanted to talk to in a virtual event and there could be 20 of us on the call, you can send them a little private message to say, hi, I'm such and such. I would love to connect with you or have a one-to-one. Would that be possible? That's actually nearly easier than doing it face to face, because you've still got the 20 people in front of you, but you're doing it in a private way. So definitely utilize that. I would also utilize any kind of voice messaging that you can do right now for networking. Use it. So on LinkedIn, when you're leaving messages, say when somebody connects with you, if you want to reply and say thanks for connecting, use your voice message. It's much, much better way to get to know somebody, to get to know their tone. And then when we do meet in person, at least you'll kind of get a vibe for that person's personality and whether you want to meet them in person or not.
That is such good advice. I had no idea, Wendy, that LinkedIn had a voice message option.
Yeah, it's like WhatsApp. It's so easy to use, Sharon. When someone connects with me now or sends me a little message, we're all so busy, and I have the 3 kids here, so it's anything that can help me do things quicker. But I always like that personal touch. So I usually just pick up the phone and put a little voice message and I say, thanks for connecting. And I'm really looking forward to reading your posts on here and getting to know you more.
That's it. Excellent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's such a simple thing to do, but it's nice to hear someone's voice on the other end.
It really is. And I think particularly now that people value connection so much more, and it adds that extra level of personalization that doesn't always come across when you're sending out the standard text that comes up on LinkedIn, for example. I think the other thing it avoids too is predictive autocorrect on text, which can really
not good.
But no, absolutely. The amount of time that I want to say looking forward to and it comes out as looking forearm to. So the voice message, yes, I think I'll definitely be moving to that. So So you have talked a lot, Wendy, about LinkedIn in particular. So I'm assuming that is your social media channel of choice. Would I be correct?
You are. Yeah. Look, I mean, I Facebook and Instagram for me are where I have my personal businesses, or like I have all my family and friends on there, and I use LinkedIn and Twitter for business. I think they're the B2B platforms, or I suppose in particular because my business is B2B. Maybe it would be different if I was B2C, but I am B2B, and that's where I like to be.
Brilliant. And it's where you can focus your efforts as well, because that's where your audience is and where your businesses are. So you can curate your content or what you're speaking about. So it makes perfect sense. Now, one thing that seems to be just weaving through this whole conversation is that idea of maintaining relationships. So, fine, you're either at an online event or an offline event. Hopefully at some stage in the future we will be. But even with online events, I have to say one thing that I think is really, really valuable about the online events is the fact that you can see everybody's name on the screen. So that is valuable for a start in terms of connecting with people on LinkedIn.
It's a simple thing. It's to have your name. And actually, did you see there's a new little feature on LinkedIn that is the name pronunciation?
Yes.
So, how cool is that for poor people that have names that are difficult, like
me, Wendy,
Sharon
Rossignuolo. Nobody gets it until
I wouldn't even attempt to say your surname, Sharon.
Well, you see a few listens now on that new feature on LinkedIn, and you'll have it sorted. So that is absolutely favorite feature.
I didn't do my prep. I should have gone onto LinkedIn and checked how to say your name.
Oh, Wendy, I totally forgive you for that. Look, you're giving us so much value right now that how could I possibly give out to you for that? So in terms of that idea of maintaining relationships, so this is the thing. I see this a lot where people meet at an event or at an online event and they get on really, really well, and that's it, the end. So how can you?
Yes. You can't push. That's the follow-up. And that's the one of. So you've got your prep, you've got your event, and then you've got the follow-up. And the follow-up is so important. And there's no point in going to events and thinking you're going to meet 10 people and then have to follow up with 10 people, or you've got a bunch of business cards. I really do think you need to focus in on 2, max 3 people. If you're going to an event that's an hour and a half long, 2 hours long, that's all you're going to be able to do anyway. So I think to have meaningful conversations with people, you have to give them 15, 20 minutes. So I think take those 2 people or 3 people and, send them a little text afterwards or the next day and say, look, it was so nice to chat with you at such and such an event. Or even use your social media platform to tag them in a post to say, I learned so much at this event and I met these 3 people, tagging them in. But then also, I think that nice private text just between you two is obviously the nicest way to do it, to say, look, it was really lovely chatting to you and I'd love to have a one-to-one or a coffee, or I'm not even, again, not salesy, we could collaborate, or, there was something you said that I really think that we could help each other out, or whatever it is, could we have a follow-up? I just, that's where people fall down. It definitely is. It's just not, and having a good CRM that you can input that information and to say how you met them. Something a friend of mine does on the business card, he's giving to you. So if I met you at an event, he takes out his business card and he'll write the name of the event that you met each other at. And he'll give one to
clever.
You and he'll write it on yours as well.
Brilliant.
Because it helps him to remember how he met you. And it's good for you as well to say, oh God, that was Don I met at that event. And, I thought it was a really clever thing to do because I didn't know what. I said, what are you writing on that now? Little love note or something on that business card.
Yeah.
And he was just literally writing how we met and what we had in common. Maybe there was a little something to remind him what I did.
Yes.
And I thought that was a really good tip to do as well, to follow up. So yeah, look, take that few minutes out the following day to send either an email or a voice message. Nowadays, better even to say, it was lovely to see you on that virtual meeting. And would it be okay for us to organise a one-to-one Zoom call? That's what I would be doing nowadays,
Yes.
So yeah, just don't forget the follow up. And I mean, if you're looking at growing your network, if you look at the start of every year, if you went to one event every month, okay, and at every event you met, say 4 contacts, that's 48 warm leads a year, okay?
Wow.
And I would say you could possibly convert 5 sales out of that.
Yes. And that's not even counting the amount of people that they know and your name being out there.
Exactly. And that's another really good point, Sharon, is that, you don't know who they know.
Exactly.
So never discount anybody that you meet, regardless of whether you think that you could do business with them or not. Definitely I never discount anybody, that you just don't know who they know. And I mean, the next day, they could ring you and say, look, you said you did this and I'm after getting a lead for it. I'm going to send it on to you because you were so nice to them at an event,
Yes, people value that sense of connection and people value kindness. And what is it that Maya Angelou say? It's not what people said or did, it's how you make them feel. It's, that sense of value.
It is. People will definitely remember how you make them feel. It definitely is. And it's a real Irish thing as well, that we love to help each other. We are a very giving and kind nation. So, networking works for us. It's different in other countries, but, we do it very, very well here.
Yes, that's true. And like many things in business, it's really important to focus on your strengths and the things that you are good at. So if you're a person who likes to listen to people, is interested in people, or has a particular passion about a subject, use that in your networking for sure, because it will pay off. And it's interesting. I know so many people who agonize over posts for social media, and they will spend hours perhaps trying to write an article or a blog and putting it out there onto LinkedIn or Facebook or whatever it is. That takes hours. Yet following up with somebody after an event, for example, takes a few minutes, and yet so many people fail to do it. And yet it's that personal currency, it's that ability to go one-to-one with somebody and do something personal and valuable that makes a difference, that people will remember you for.
Oh yeah, definitely is really, really look at being a little bit different, and people will definitely remember you.
And so my final question for you, Wendy, what one piece of advice would you give to business owners who just don't rate networking or just are afraid to put themselves out there to network? They're afraid to do it or they don't rate it. What's your advice?
Get in touch with me. Get in touch with me. I will bring you to an event and I will show you how much fun it can be and the people that you can meet. Now, look, the few tips that I gave earlier on, I think that's really important. But do reach out to people that you do know network and ask them to bring you along to an event. That's the first thing I would do is, look, you have to be comfortable doing it. And I think, surely if you're in business, you'll know somebody who does network or, that is going to an event. If they say to you, I'm going to an event, just, say, would it be possible if I could join you? And that way you've got the support. And I think that's really important. If you do feel like, look, it's not going to work for me, try it. Please try it, because it will make a huge difference to your business. I can guarantee it.
And where energy goes or where focus goes, energy flows. So even making that decision to check it out and to do it. And as you say, even within your own network, before you even go out to meet other people, there are people you know already. Yeah. And in fact, anybody who's listened to our conversation today, that's something in common that we all have already. We have all been part of the same conversation. So that's your link.
There you go. That's the link. That is the link. Absolutely. And like that, I mean, I've gone to events and where I haven't known anybody going, but I've reached out to the speaker and I've gone up and introduced myself to them, and they've turned around to me and said, "Oh, you're my LinkedIn friend."
There you've made that connection already.
Yeah. So don't be afraid to do it. It really is. Make that effort, and go to a couple of events.
Wendy, you have given us so many tips today, so much value today on a topic that I think is so, so important for business owners. Thank you so much for joining us on the Fingal Business Podcast. Thank you, Wendy.
We hope you enjoyed today's podcast episode, brought to you by Local Enterprise Office Fingal. For more information and to keep up to date with our services, check out www.localenterprise.ie/Fingal and sign up to our newsletter.